Greetings, unsettled souls. Welcome to the Correct Views. Sam I do a political commentary for the media speaks for you. I am here, not in my studio. To get me back in my studio, you can do so by donating at thecorrectviews@hotmail.com. Every penny you give to me goes towards a better show. And I do a much better show in my studio than I do here. However, what is it Rumsfeld said, you go to war with the army that you have and not the army that you wish that you had. So with that, we're going to get into some interesting news here pertaining to world peace. Now, we know that the Soviet, or I almost said the Soviet Union, it may as well be. We know that Russia has not been a friend of the United States. As the conservative Daily Post I have written there in the past has pointed out, as recently as a couple days ago, Russia was in our waters. Russia has taunted us in the skies, and they have taunted our warships as well. And come close on international waters to U.S. ships and see if they can engage them and cause them to launch, which of course could lead to World War III, which is a good reason for us to maybe in this, even though some would argue that their hearts appear to be in the right place. I don't think a lot of people would be open to trusting them. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is from Yahoo. Putin has been pushing. Oh, I gotta go back here because it wants to refresh on me all the time. Thank you, Yahoo, for sucking. Moscow offering to broker talks between the U.S. and North Korea. Putin has been pushing for the U.S. and North Korea to talk through his foreign minister, who reiterated to Secretary of State Tillerson that the situation should be resolved through diplomatic means. Well, let me ask you something. How can we trust diplomatic means from somebody who we know meddled in the U.S. elections? Now keep in mind, we know that he didn't help Trump. Trump earned his victory fair and square. That's what every bit of logic that we have seen has thus far showed us. Yes, I cut myself before shading, in case you're wondering why I look like an idiot. Before I went live, I should say while shading. So, ain't I pretty? We know that we can't trust them, even though they didn't meddle with Russia. Why would we trust them at the bargaining table? Now, they are a bit of a go-between, considering that Russia has hired them for menial tasks in the woods and things like that. They hire North Koreans for their cheap labor. By the same token, they've been one of the people, or one of the nations, helping them overcome the sanctions that may have already ended the regime. So again, I don't think a lot of people would be open to the idea, but I wanted to put it out there and see what you guys thought of it. I thought it was questionable at best. Listen to this, probably the best writer extant today. Louder with Crowder, Steve Crowder on Prison Planet. A Swedish woman told to stay indoors to avoid being raped. There you go. Nothing talks about multiculturalism quite the way that this story does. Because on one hand, you have all of the raging feminists talking about how we need to leave the borders open to help with our liberal friends who want to help Islam and all the radicals who are posing as needy. Get it through your heads, friends. Everybody posing as needy isn't really needy. A lot of those people are coming to do us great harm. And as a lot of the ladies are finding out, they are coming to rape, pillage, plunder, and harm them as well. Sweden is famous for many things, mainly for stopping mass-produced home furnishings, a 1970s chart-topping group that would be ABBA, and rape. Lots and lots of rape. In fact, they've earned the title of the rape capital of the West, and there's no sign of them relinquishing the title anytime soon. In fact, the rapery is at such a critical mass, Crowder writes, that the government is taking action to put a stop to it there. They've instructed Swedish women to avoid rape by remaining indoors and not traveling alone. Yes, really. He quotes, hundreds of protesters raged against Swedish police Thursday as the nation's law enforcement warned women to stay inside or walk in pairs to avoid a slew of gang rapes that have plagued the country. It's about common sense. We're not warning people not to go outside, but to think twice before walking alone. Maybe we should have thought twice about letting Islamists into the country in droves because they didn't have this problem in one of the most peaceful nations in all of recorded history prior to the arrival of Islam, which is rather common when you bring Islam into a community. Again, I'm not saying they're all terrorists. I'm saying a large number of them are. I thought "don't blame the victim" was the rule, he asks. That sounds like an awful lot what's going on here. Well, the rape wouldn't happen if you weren't in possession of lady bits in public. Not exactly the most airtight logic there, Nelson. And multiculturalism that the left is talking about. Swedish dames forced to live like recluses because their left-leaning amigos don't have the stones to hurt Muslims' feelings. The Swedish government is terrified of being labeled as bigots. Therefore, what have they done? They have allowed their country and their safety to be overrun by people who don't only neglect their best interests, but who, with one determination, are looking to ruin the lives of those in the West. And we're allowing it to happen by opening the doors, by opening the borders, electing people like Merkel in the EU. These are problems that could have been prevented, and these are rapes that did not need to happen. But unfortunately, a PC mindset erased common sense, so they're happening with great regularity. Look at this, friends, the Conservative Tribune. The Islamist takes the mic and lays out disturbing attack on Christmas. Those who mockingly dismiss Christians concerned about the war on Christmas better humble themselves real quick, because a speech delivered last week by Saudi Arabia by Lebanese-American Imam Abu Musab Waji Akari indubitably proves that this war does in fact exist, according to the Middle East Research Institute, which obtained a video recording of Akari delivering a sermon to a congregation in a Saudi Arabian city called Jeddah. The Imam warned his listeners against being weak and saying Merry Christmas. It is not endorsed by the divine entity. It is from the worst of Satan, he said, and therefore that acknowledgement of yours is problematic. You are indirectly acknowledging a satanic festivity, a satanic holiday, which Allah Almighty did not legislate. That is Allah. Well, let me let you in on a secret here, and a lot of people don't know this. It is true that Jesus Christ was not born on December the 25th, and that December the 25th is a pagan holiday. So why should Christians honor it? I will tell you why. And I will tell this foolish imam if he ever gets this video, which I trust you to get it to him. I'll tell it to him too. Here's the truth. When Christians were peacefully getting along with pagans in other lands, pagan holidays fell on December 25th, and Christians could not celebrate them. They didn't wish to be Scrooges and hide in their home. So they came out and began to celebrate the Christmas holiday honoring Christ. They did not honor the fake pagan deities which were extant at the time, nor did Christians steal the holiday. They were invited to do so by those who were friends of the pagan religion. Wars to the contrary did not happen until far later and for other reasons. They've invented so much into this, it's almost like a big joke and a big gimmick, and people continue to buy into it, he said, talking about Christmas trees and Santa Claus. Well, it's interesting that Santa Claus is St. Nicholas, and St. Nicholas is somebody who protected Middle Eastern girls from being sold into prostitution or Islamic slavery and servitude by giving them gold. Why Santa Claus has since become St. Nicholas. Or St. Nicholas has become Santa Claus, I should say. At the end of the day, and it's a business. It's all stuff is business. Valentine's Day is a business. Christmas is a business. Well, that depends on how you keep it in your heart there, Mr. Scrooge. Santa Claus embodies Christian values such as kindness, generosity, and forgiveness, and every child soon realizes that even if they have not been perfect all year, Santa comes through. Your whole religion is a joke, and mine is not, he said, acting as if he were replying to a Christian wishing him well. Well, what's interesting is that the Christian religion holds up as historically evident and provable. Meanwhile, the Islamic religion does not. Therefore, we have to call into question everything he just said and maybe pay a little bit more attention to the accurate and prudent history lesson that I just taught. Guys, we do have 3 more to get to here. This is a short one, but I've been following this in the Conservative Daily Post. I wrote a couple of articles about it, and it's interesting. This feted attraction, London Fatberg, to go on a museum display. Now, don't tune out. If you don't know what a Fatberg is, you're going to be wonderfully and disgustingly surprised. You will be happy you stayed. Part of a monster fatberg that clogged one of London's sewers is destined for fame in a museum. The Museum of London says it will put the only remaining chunk of the 130 metric ton, that's 143 US tons, mass of oil, fat, diapers, and baby wipes, yuck, on display next year. Workers for the utility company Thames Water spent weeks this year dislodging the smelly 820-foot long blob by breaking it up with high-powered hoses. Says the museum's shoebox-sized chunk is all that remains. The rest has been converted to biofuel. What a waste. They should have put it on display. Curator Vicky Sparks said Tuesday it will be one of the most fascinating and disgusting objects on display. It has been air-dried to reduce the smell. Well, they should have, if they really wanted to help the environment, I'll tell you what they should have done. They should have not used it as a biofuel, even if that helps the environment. What they should have done was use it as a teaching tool for how this stuff affects the sewer system. But they didn't. They had a little tiny piece of it. And I think the whole force of it behind it is utterly lost in that. Oh, and last of the Christmas one here for the day, but I had to get to it because it's funny. Oh, Christmas tree, storm topples Tennessee holiday spruce, a splat. Oh, Christmas tree, a Grinch of a storm has toppled the official holiday spruce in the Tennessee city capital. Area media outlets report that Nashville's 40-foot and 12-meter Norway spruce was toppled overnight, with officials blaming a combination of wind, rain, and possibly a defective anchor. I would say so. More than 2,000 people had turned out on December 1st for the tree's lighting ceremony, with Nashville Mayor Megan Barry, including a performance by the husband and wife duo Jason and Isabel and Amanda Shires, who for whatever reason don't have the same name. The Tennessean reports city officials won't right the tree. They plan to haul it to Nashville's public square park because they don't have the time or manpower to redecorate it. What the hell? But it's not all humbug. A 35-foot tree still stands. If they, for the ending of that story, I would say that the city, the people that pay their taxes, should get a discount. Because if you don't have the money and time to redecorate it when our tax dollars paid for it, then the people of Tennessee needs to say that we're going to pay you a little bit less. That's what needs to happen there. And that's why I wanted to cover this story. Friends, that brings us to the dumbdee of the day. Oh, yeah. And the dumbdee of the day music plays. And guys, it's quite a dumbdee that I have for you. Burglar gets stuck in a hotel air duct. Tries setting himself on fire. Told you it was the dumbdee of the day. You didn't believe me. An unhinged man got caught in an air duct in a Midtown hotel while trying to get himself on fire during a bizarre burglary and suicide attempt early Wednesday. Hotel staff found buff and barefoot Juan Estella, 35, wearing only long underwear, stuck inside the ductwork of the seventh floor Renaissance New York Midtown Hotel on 35th Street near 7th Avenue at about 5:30 in the morning. Estella snuck into the hotel but was spotted wandering around the 6th floor lobby, cops said. When security guards tried to grab him, he gave them the slip and ran to the 7th floor. The security feed tracked Estella into the closed-off area on the 7th floor, but then he disappeared, cops said. A short time later, workers smelled burning rubber coming from the vents near the hotel's 7th floor pantry. Lo and behold, Estella managed to get stuck inside the vent, used a small cigar lighter to set one of his shoes on fire, cops said. He had hoped that the fire would set off smoke detectors. The hollering for help must have been too intelligent. First responders extracted the soot-covered man from the shaft, and Estella told them he crawled inside the shaft to commit suicide. But why didn't he just do it then? He was attempting to set himself on fire. I thought he was trying to set off a smoke alarm. Now he's also a liar. His arraignment was pending as medics took him to Bellevue Mental Hospital for psychiatric evaluation, which is where he needs to be. A man has been arrested for burglary once before. Well, don't know if it's really burglary so much as stupidity. But in any event, that is your show this evening. You will be getting a Dunce Cap of the Month show coming up soon. And I am also giving the Dunce Cap of the Year, the Golden Dumbdee, out for both this year and last year, because I neglected to last year, and it bothered me all year. If you'd like to donate to the show, friends, please do. thecorrectviews@hotmail.com. I really need the money so that I can get the show back up and running as it should be. Good night, friends. God bless.